Alrighty, my name is Mitch, and I got half this video recorded, then the light went off, and realized that I ran out of storage. I lost the first part of the video, so I'm gonna have to start over. I wasn't known that, but that's what happened. Also, excuse the attire. I just moved. I can't find anything, so here I am. I'm going to go ahead and show you how to lay out walls. And one of the main things to understand if I was going to teach students how to lay out walls, residential stud walls, is that I would never go in and just show them how to do that. The first thing, I would start with blueprints so they understand lines and symbols and where to find dimensions of doors and windows and partition blocks, interior walls. And then I would go into a wall anatomy unit that would basically teach them how, what the structure of a wall is. The headers, the studs, the partition blocks, corner blocks, all that. They have to, it'd be very, very helpful if they know that information before you go into just showing how to frame. Because if I did that, I would talk about, studs and cripples and things like that. They wouldn't know what I was talking about, so it wouldn't have the same meaning. So what I've done is I've drawn two plates up on the board. That represents a top plate and a bottom plate of wall up on their edge, okay? Now we've got this, I'm gonna make this about 12, pretend that I cut them 12 feet long. We're gonna put a 2-foot window at 3 feet on center. Okay, so the center of the window will be at 3 feet from the edge of this plate. And then we've got a door we're going to put down here. So the first thing you do, the first thing you want to do when you start to lay out a wall is, now what I do is I lay out the doors and the windows first. If you don't do that and you do studs first, then as you lay out your doors and windows, a lot of those studs will be unnecessary. So you have to scribble them out. And to me, it complicates, it kind of muddies up the plate a little bit. So I just do doors and windows first and then do studs last, okay? So you got a 2-foot or 24-inch window at 3 feet on center. So what I would do is I'd hook my tape on the left side of this plate, or these plates, and I'd pull it out at 3 feet and mark that. And then put a C on it for center, okay? So we know that's the center of the window. And then I'm gonna take 24 inches and I'm gonna add 1 inch to that to make that opening bigger than the actual, bigger than the 24 that it shows on the blueprint. The reason for that is when you put the window in, you need to be able to shim it, level it, literally shim it, put shims in there, and then plumb and level. So that's why you want to make that opening bigger. So it's going to be a 1/2 inch bigger, top, bottom, and each side, okay? So 24 plus 1 inch is 25, divided by 2, be 12.5 inches. So then I would measure back from that center mark, 12.5 inches, mark that, use a speed square and get the lines 90 degrees. Measure this way 12.5, mark that. And then I'm going to put a T in the inside of that, which represents trimmer, which holds up the header on top and bottom. And then I'm going to put a big X on the outside of that line, both those lines. And that's going to represent the king stud, or the stud that's against that trimmer that holds the header in as well, okay? So that's a window. Now the door, we've got a door at 6 feet on center, and it's a 3-foot 0-inch wide door, okay? So I'm gonna hook my tape on, measure over 6 feet, mark that for center. And in the case of a door, you've got 3 feet wide, but you add more than 1 inch to a door. you add 2 inches to a door. So that 3 feet is going to be 38 inches, okay? And so, and the reason for that is you've got a door jamb that's 3/4 on each sides, and you need to shim and plumb and level again. So you want that space to be bigger than a window space, so you can get that door, pre-hung door jamb in, okay? So we've got 36, 37, 38. So that's divided by 2, that's 18. So you'd have 19 inches each direction here. So you're going to go measure from the center of the door, 19 inches, mark that. I'm going to measure back this way, 19 inches, and mark that. And then I'm going to put a trimmer on the inside, the same way I did the window, and we'll put king studs on the outside. Now, the difference between a door and a window, there isn't a lot except the rough opening is bigger. I want to put a line through the bottom plate. And what that tells me is that, or it tells the person that's going to put the wall together, nail it together, that there's not going to be any cripples underneath that door header in the door opening, okay? So that's the way I would do the door. Now let's say the corner blocks, let's say you're going to attach this in, and another wall is going to butt into it, then for my corner block symbols, I'm going to go 3 X's like this. So another wall will butt into that. This one is butting into the wall the other direction, so we just do 1 stud symbol, top and bottom plate on that, okay? So now we've got the plate laid out. It's kind of cluttered, but that's just the nature of the beast. We're trying to do it on the board like this. Pretty cluttered, but now the last step that we would do is we would measure, hook on your tape on the left-hand side again, and I would roll my tape out the length of those plates, okay? Now, studs can be on 16 centers, they can be on 24 centers. The 16 center mark for studs is highlighted in red, okay? The 24 centers are highlighted in black. So we're going to pretend that we're doing 16 centers on this. So I'd hook on, and then for every 16 inches, I would mark. But what I do, instead of marking right on 16, I come back to 15 1/4, okay? And the reason for that is when you have that stud laid out and you put wall sheathing over the top, you want that wall sheathing to split that stud. You want it to split that stud, so you have a nailing surface for the sheathing to lay on or be against. And so by coming back 15 1/4 inches and then marking, and you put an X on the right, then that's going to allow that wall sheathing, which is going to run vertically on it, that's going to allow for the very outside edge of that sheathing, or the 4 foot wide side or edge, to be wind up right in the center of a stud, okay? So we're just going to kind of pretend here. So the first one would be, we'll say it's 16 center. So I come back 15 1/4, I mark that. And then I put an X on that side, which indicates that stud is going to be on the right side of that mark, because I laid out left to right, okay? Now I'm going to come over approximately another 16, and I'm going to mark that. But this time, this isn't a stud because that's under the window. It's under the window sill, right? So that would be called a cripple. Okay, now you're not going to have one on top, so you can actually get rid of that or not even put it in the first place. So I'd come over 32 and cut back to 31 1/4 like I did the 16, right? And then you continue across this on the centers, 16, 32, etc. and go ahead, that'd be a cripple too, because it's still inside the window. Okay, and then I get out here and approximately another 16 inches. I've got king studs and trimmers in the way, so I don't need anything there. And you're going to continue across this whole thing on the 16 centers, the highlighted red 16 centers, and lay out a stud every 16 inches, basically. Okay, so this is nothing in this. This is open area, but it is on center. So I'm going to put a stud X on the right, like that. Now I get to the door. Okay, we know that the header is on the top of the door, nothing down below it like you would have on most windows. Okay, so on the door, you have no studs. You have no cripples. So then we can get clear out in here and we start laying out again. Now we're in open spaces. We don't have any windows or doors. So it's going to be a stud mark on 16 centers again. Okay. And if we lay it out like that, if we lay the wall out like that, then we're going to be accurate. We're going to have everything in the spot that it should be. We're going to have all the cripples laid out, our studs laid out. The plate looks cluttered now, but in a normal situation it wouldn't be so cluttered. We've got a California corner block here. Basically, just a stud on the end. And so now, once you have it all laid out like this, you're going to spread these plates apart on the deck, so they're laying flat on the deck of a house. And you can lay these studs apart like this with all those symbols on them. Okay, like that. And all these symbols would be on those two plates. And now I would simply lay my studs in here where those symbols tell me to lay them. And then you nail here and you nail there together. And you just go through that whole thing just like that. So you might have another stud before you have any cripples or windows, which is fine. And then you might get to the window and you've got cripple marks, and so you just keep on laying out the vertical stuff first. All your studs and vertical stuff and king studs and headers and all that, lay all that out first and nail it together and then go from there. That's basically how to lay out walls. It's a really quick lesson. Generally, I would take, I'd probably take 3 days to a week, probably a week, depending how long the class is, to demonstrate how to read prints, identify lines, symbols, things like that. And then I would give them tests. So I'd give them little mini blueprints, and I would give them tests and ask them where to find the southeast bedroom, find the size of the northwest bathroom, the length and width, things like that. So they really have a clear understanding of what they're looking for and how to find it. But other than that's pretty much it. We do blueprints. We'd probably do another day or two on wall anatomy. So you've got at least a week and a half before you ever get to walls. And that way they have a clear understanding of the whole picture. I hope that was reasonably clear for you. And hopefully this thing recorded like it's supposed to and I can send it to you. See ya.